Well, welcome to another Acoustic Alternatives. I'm John Bommarito, broadcasting from Grove Studios in Ypsilanti. And if you're a Michigan-based artist and looking for a place to do your practicing, if you're a DJ, you need a place to get loud. If you're a band and you want to get out of the garage, Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, an excellent host to me and very instrumental in me actually doing this podcast. If they hadn't encouraged me to do it, I probably wouldn't be doing it. So big thanks to them. And I want to thank my sponsor who signed on a few episodes ago as well. He's an associate broker realtor. David Palmer is his name. And we're going to talk more about David a little bit later on in the program. But if you're in the Detroit, Ann Arbor area and you're looking for a realtor, dcpalmer.com. Write that down or open up another browser while you're listening. Or if you're listening on the audio version of this podcast, just pop that up and check it out later. But I am very excited to welcome a guest that I've never had a chance to interview in all my years of doing radio, but she's been by my station. Kim Richey is here with me today.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Kim. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I'm not bad. Thank you.
You brought a friend with you today.
I did. This is Sam Hawksley. He's over from Australia, but he lives in Nashville now like I do.
G'day.
Kind of recognized the accent when we were talking. Like,
Yeah.
that reminds me of Shane Nicholson, who I visited with a long time ago.
Oh, we both know Shane.
Let me tell you a story off air about Shane. It's a good one.
Okay.
It's a really good one.
I love those off-air kind of
Well,
stories.
it's not relevant to you, so why would we do
Yeah.
it today? But you've got quite the journey. 26 years removed from your debut album. Long journey that includes writing songs and providing vocals in the late 80s and early 90s for the Dixie Chicks before any of us heard of them. The Newgrass Revival, Pam Tillis, Randy Foster, Reba McIntyre, Tricia Yearwood, just to name a few, all people you worked with. And Bill Lloyd, you were in a band with him before he went solo too, is that correct?
Well, I was in a band with him. He was in a duo called Foster and Lloyd,
Yes.
and the country group. But I was in a band with him at university. But that's pretty much why I ended up in Nashville. I moved there from Bellingham, Washington.
Okay.
Radney and Bill, they were touring, and they came up to Bellingham where I was in Washington, and I rode on the bus for a couple days with them and sold T-shirts. And they said, "You got to come to Nashville." So I just did, kind of on a lark, really.
Nice. And you've been there ever since, more or less?
Pretty much 5 years in London. I was in Austin for a bit, but mostly all Nashville.
Okay, we'll dig into that a little deeper, but I think it'd be fun to start with a song before we
All
get
right.
into your history. What else? What would you like to start with? Sorry.
Well, we'll play Every River that was off of the second record I did, Bittersweet.
Okay.
All right, Sam. Once upon a time, somewhere in your past, someone said forever, but the promise didn't last. Now you don't believe love is ever true. You steel yourself against the day when I stop loving you. When the day comes that I don't love you, every star will fall out of the sky. Every mountain will tumble down. Every river run dry. For every drop of rain that ever tumbles down. For every tear that ever fell and never made a sound. I'll be there to hear you call, and I'll be there to catch you, baby, should you ever fall. When the day comes comes that I don't love you, every star will fall out of the sky, every mountain will tumble down, every river run dry. When the day comes that I don't love you, every star will fall out of the sky, every mountain will tumble down, every river run dry. Oh, every river run dry.
Kim Richey is my guest on Acoustic Alternatives, going back quite a few years for that one, and appreciate you digging in. There's a lot to pick from in your lengthy career, so.
Yeah, when I first started out, we didn't have enough songs, and now, and it doesn't matter what I play. Afterwards, I'll come out and talk to people, and they'll say, "Oh, you didn't play."
Of course, because you've got a lengthy catalog. Well, tell me about your journey as a young woman and how you discovered music and found it to be a path that you are still on today. What was the reason you chose to? You're still doing it. I mean,
Well, I'm not sure what else to do at this point, really.
well, yes, but there was a 15-year-old you at some point that didn't know what you were going to be. Maybe you didn't.
Well, I'm not one of those people that knew what I wanted to do when I was younger, growing up and everything. I was nearly a folklore major in university because I stood in the wrong line.
Oh.
So, but I have a degree in environmental ed, so
Okay.
I did that. Worked at nature centers and then I started cooking in restaurants, and I was doing that up in Bellingham when I moved to Nashville. I actually cooked at the Bluebird for a bit.
I heard.
Yeah, and but gosh, I always loved singing. But I never thought in a million years that this was an option as a career choice. I think when I was really little, I always thought I'd be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But so I love singing, and I've been able to do it, for quite some time now.
Do you think about teaching music instead of? I mean, at some point, maybe you don't want to tour anymore, and maybe teaching music would be a way to make a living.
I'm not good at teaching music. I do some because I don't have that knowledge. I can play and sing and everything, but not to teach anybody else. But I do a little bit of mentoring with songwriters, so I really enjoy that, just to sit with people and say, well, what about if you did this, in your song? And I did a little bit of that during what was for me the worst part of the lockdown in the winter, and it just kind of kept me, from losing my mind. Basically, I had an appointment with a few women that I would meet with them because I do a mentoring thing at Banff every year, part of a songwriter workshop, and some of those girls got in touch and said, "Can we have a meeting?" And it was just really great to be somewhere, at a certain time every week or whatever, and get to talk with them and go over songs and stuff.
So your friends in high school would be surprised if they looked back to when you were, 12, 15, 14, 16 years old or whatever, that you decided to follow this path. They would have thought you'd have become a teacher or something like that.
Yeah, or yeah, just wouldn't even know what the heck I'd be doing.
So I heard you worked in your aunt's record store as well at some point.
Well, I didn't work in her store. She had a store. It was my great aunt, and she was in McConnellsville, Ohio. That's where my parents were. And when we would go back, my dad passed away when I was 2, so we moved to Dayton, my mom and I and sister, and lived with my grandparents. And when we would go back to visit McConnellsville, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, and my great-aunt all lived in a house together.
Mm-hmm.
And then my great-aunt had a record store in the bottom floor of an old house in McConnellsville, which is a teeny tiny town. And I was just really little. I was like 9 or 10. So I had no idea how cool that was, that my aunt was running a record store. I mean, also my great aunt, she wasn't a spring chicken, but she was totally, knew what was going on with music and everything. And but she'd let us take home as many 45s as we wanted. So I have this like massive. I still have all my 45s. I had like, I can still see some of the labels. Like I had Love and Spoonful and all of Motown stuff. I can see that label, what that looks like. Remember that? And
Remember the Karma label, Love and Spoonful,
yeah,
right? Yellow, right?
yeah, yellow with the red, like the guy on there. And, but I had also just a really odd collection of 45s. So I saw like the band and Janis Joplin 45, and it was really great. We weren't allowed to have albums, but we could have 45s. But she did buy me the first album I ever owned. I was in the hospital when I was a little kid, and she came to visit and bought me an album. And I'm not sure how appropriate it was for a 9-year-old, but it was Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. Remember, like, Hey There, Little Red Riding Hood and
Yeah.
Creepy Guy
It's a little
song.
bit. I'm not sure how you turned out this way. My first album was a K-Tel album called Dumb Ditties. It had all these like
Nice.
novelty songs on it. So I have a weird sense of humor, but my musical taste, my first 45 was actually a Paul McCartney and Wings 45.
See, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to start. But that was before I realized he was in the Beatles. I was 9 years old. So.
Yeah.
Did that influence your songwriting at all, having this vast collection of 45s of different genres? And
Probably because I think like when you buy an album, you're all into the artist. That's what you're buying. And when you have 45s, you're buying them for the songs. And I think a lot of kids and younger people that's how they think of music. A lot of times are just the songs. And but the first like Joni Mitchell is one of my one of my favorites and a huge influence. But the first time I ever kind of started paying attention to her, I went all in and bought the double live album, and then I went back through the whole catalog and everything. But yeah, I think because I started out listening to songs that that's really important to me. The songs are.
Were you more interested in songwriting or singing?
Always singing. I only wrote songs. When I was in that band with Bill Lloyd, I didn't write songs. The other guys wrote songs, and I sang, and we all sang. But I decided I would maybe try my hand, and the first song I wrote was 1 minute long, and they used to call it the FTD. I think I just didn't want to take up a lot of room. It called it the FTD song because they thought it would make a good ad for the florist. So.
And did you ever try and sell it to them?
No.
Come on, you should do it now. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I'm a
sure.
little late on that one.
Well, your debut solo album came out after working with others back in 1985. First 3 records were on Mercury. Would it be fair to say the most successful one was the third one, Glimmer? Because you just recently decided to re-record that.
Well, I don't know. See, the record came out in 95, so 85 I was still up, and I didn't move to Nashville till 88. So I don't know about the most successful album. People there are camps, like there's the Bittersweet camp that's their favorite all-time record, and then the Glimmer people, and that's kind of when I think it's like when you find that artist, that's kind of your favorite one and sticks with you, because how music just is so all wrapped up in your life and personal experiences and what's going on at that point. That's how a lot of why certain albums or songs resonate with with people or a group.
Whichever one was your gateway one sticks with you for the duration of this is the one
I
introduced me
think
to.
so.
Yeah. So just curious why you decided to re-record that one. I know the original was produced by a pretty big name producer.
Well, Glimmer, it was Hugh Padgham. Glimmer, we did it for because it was I thought that'd be great for Record Store Day. It was the 20th anniversary of the record, and we just had planned to do a little, just a little like one-off kind of acoustic, just play the songs. And then when we started working on it, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and and turned into a proper album. So Yep Rock decided to not do the Record Store Day and just give it a proper release. But It was released in conjunction with the pandemic, so that didn't work out quite as we had planned.
Not yet.
But yeah, so that's how that came about, though.
It's already a timeless record. It doesn't matter if you promote it this year, next year, or whatever, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
you missed the anniversary, but whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of us missed things in 2020. It's like 2020.
The missing year.
It kind of was. Did you have to relearn some of those songs, or did you remember them?
Well, when I've been playing a lot, so I always try to play songs from all the different records when we, at least a song from a record when we're touring and stuff. But yeah, I had to go, kind of refresh my memory on some of them because I don't play the whole record, ever.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe you will.
Well, we had planned to. That was part of the plan, the master plan too. But now we're just on to the next thing.
Yeah. Would that be an album you'd want to dip into a song for another performance?
No. In a word.
That is fine with me.
Yeah, because I'm not sure like what it's gonna be. We're thinking it might be like more. It could possibly be something that's a little more acoustic and just kind of with strings instead of like an Americana traditional kind of guitar-y thing. So I'm not sure what we're doing quite yet.
Okay. Do you want to do another song now from somewhere in your back catalog?
Sure. Let's see. I'm gonna play. I don't think you know this one, Sam. You can just do some. It's video as well, so you could do some.
Smiling.
Well, I was thinking more like some movement, interpretive dance or something. Would be good.
That'd be great.
Okay.
What song are you doing?
I'm gonna do "Absence of Your Company." It's from Chinese Boxes, and it was in an episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Nice.
So back in the day. So. If you can't say that you don't love me, if you can't look me in the eye and say that you don't love me, I can say goodbye. If you can't tell me you won't miss me and sound convincing when you say that you won't miss me, I can walk away. 'Cause I don't have a point to prove or a stand to make. Well, I'm just trying to find my way and a face to wear and a place to be in the absence of your company. Ooh. Ooh. If you are better off without me, yeah, if you truly do believe that you are better off without me, that's how you should be. 'Cause I don't have a point to prove or a stand to make. Yeah, I'm just trying to find my way and a face to wear and a place to be in the absence of your company. Ooh. Ooh. And I will write you off easy as that. If only it was as easy as that.
Kim Richey, absence of your company, making me miss a friend.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
If you don't mind, I'm going to take a minute and thank David Palmer again, because again, without him, this podcast isn't possible at the present time. I've known David for years. He's a big music fan, and he's been a fan of what I've been doing on the radio when I was still doing that. And he and I have crossed paths many times, but he's a realtor, and he cares deeply about having a positive social impact in this area as well. So if you're looking in the area, Detroit, Ann Arbor area, and you're looking for a place, maybe you're a first-time buyer, maybe you're a person recovering from being a first-time buyer and had a bad experience, he's the guy for you. Also pretty special in the department of, if you have, like I do, an elderly parent, and at some point you're probably going to have to think about moving stuff out of their house and trying to figure out what to do with that. He is pretty adept in that area as well, helping you move that stuff, find the right people to help those third parties you'll need find the right places for that. So dcpalmer.com is his website. It's associated with Realty Experts LLC at 1420 Washington, number 301 in Detroit, 48226. And that phone number is 313-759-9558, dcpalmer.com. Again, thanks, David, for being such a great supporter of what I'm doing. And I hope you can get a chance to check them out. So back to Kim. And Kim, thinking about when you moved to Nashville, which was the early 90s, was it the song, or mid 90s, I guess? Was
88.
88, sorry.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Was it the hip thing to do? I mean, now a lot of people move to Nashville to connect with the songwriter scene, but were you kind of at the beginning of that whole wave?
No, I moved there actually because, well, I was up in, like just kind of another place to go. But what I thought was really, really interesting and kind of drew me into Nashville and the music there was when Steve Earle was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And and Dwight Yoakam and Katie Lang and all of that stuff. And I thought, especially Steve Earle, I thought I get this music, and this is really, really great. And it was kind of like a false alarm for for Nashville. But that's the people that I was influenced by in Nashville and everything. And it wasn't like, it was definitely not cool when I moved there in Nashville, and but that was cooler to me than it is now. And when something tries really hard, it's not cool. But I remember when we moved there, my boyfriend kept going, "Have we unpacked yet? Do we have to live here? Do we really have to live here?" I mean, they had a like a thing. There's the scene is the the free paper,
Mm-hmm.
and that talks about entertainment and culture and all that kind of stuff. And they had a contest, every year, like a lot of them do, like the best of what's the best thing in Nashville. And as far as coffee went, the best coffee in Nashville was Shoney's. Do you guys have that up here? It's Frisch's called, or Big Boy, or something like that. It's like that horrible coffee that sits on the burner for like a million years. So yeah, there wasn't a single coffee shop or anything like that. But then it just kept, it kind of peaked and then went overboard, I think, a little bit maybe.
It's a pretty destination place now for people who want to get connected with the songwriter scene, and
all kinds of folks. Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of industries moving there. A lot of tech stuff is moving there as well, like Austin.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, back in the day, I would thought basically it was only a country town, but not at all now. I mean, not at all.
Yeah, no, actually, and it wasn't. People always thought it was just country music, and Bob Dylan recorded there, and then there was a lot of stuff going on there that people didn't know about. But it was just the we're familiar with the country music that came out of there.
Yeah, that seems to be what resonated with most people. Now, you said you worked at the Bluebird. You were a cook there.
Yep.
You also get to play there, I assume, at some point in your career.
Well, I played open mic, back then, and then now I play, every once in a while there. And actually, I'm playing next month. They do a series. They started doing shows now again. They were so small that they couldn't open partially because they couldn't make that work financially. Yeah. And because I think they only can get about 100 people in there. And so they do a series in the summer, which is Bluebird on the Mountain, and it's held outdoors at the observatory. Okay. And it's really fun. It's their same songwriter, thing, and but outdoors, and people bring picnics and blankets and stuff to drink and all that kind of thing.
I saw a trailer for a film about the Bluebird that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
Has that film come out yet?
Yeah. It did. I don't think it played in theaters or anything. It was a documentary. It had a pretty small release, I reckon.
Was that something that you were excited to be part of? I mean, it's part of
Oh
your, it's
yeah,
certainly part of your history.
yeah. It was cool to be part of it, and I got to be part of it because I worked at the Bluebird and all that kind of thing.
Did some of your friends that you saw developing, have any of them gone on to exceed your expectations that you saw developing playing there?
Oh, I'm not sure what you mean.
People who have succeeded who played that small stage that
Oh,
you
there's
were.
loads of people. I wasn't around to see them though, but
I'm thinking
they're
of the ones you were around to see.
not really.
No?
Not no. I mean, well, when I was there in before '88, I lived there for a little bit. That's when I was cooking, like really early '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just there for about a year and a bit. But then I would see people like Kevin Welch would play there in a band, and there were a lot of mostly the people I saw play then. That was before the singer songwriter thing was going on at the Bluebird. Because when I cooked there, we served lunch and dinner. It was like ladies who lunch thing, and then dinner, and then clear everybody out, and it turned into a bar. And so some of the bands, like the bands were great. A lot of the people that were in those bands went on to be like the A-list session players and stuff in Nashville, and songwriters mostly Tim Krekel and Bob DePiro and Kevin and John Scott Sherrill. Just a lot of those kind of folks went on to more to a songwriting career.
Okay. At some point, you mentioned you moved to England. What was your reason for moving over there?
Well, I was going back and forth a whole bunch because I had I met Giles Martin, and Giles came over to do some, to write some songs, and some publisher fixed me up with him, and we just really got on and became friends. So I would go over there and work with him some, and then got to know a lot of his friends, and I met some other people at songwriting camps. Like there was this one in France that Miles Copeland put on, and I met some UK people there who were still really close friends, and so I was going back and forth doing writing and everything, and then the publisher over there, Chrysalis, said when your deal runs out in the States, come over here and write for us. So I ended up doing that, and after about 5 years, I thought, well, it was just it's really expensive for one thing, and also I seem to have I was touring a bunch more so in the States than in the UK because of just the size factor, and there's a lot more gigs over here, and so I was paying a lot of money for some place where I wasn't living, because I was coming so much over to back to the States and stuff.
Didn't
But
make sense. Yeah.
but I loved it. I miss my friends from over there a lot, especially like right now since I go there a few times a year. So still, so I haven't been able to see any of those guys for quite some time. Like everybody is in that same
Yeah,
big boat.
for sure. We're missing people like
Yeah.
like we were just singing about. When you worked with Giles on Chinese boxes, did you work in England with him, or did he
Yeah.
he came?
Yeah, we worked over there, and I had some of my friends. It was fun to have my friends play on the records and stuff. And then I met some new friends who I'm really close with still that I met through Giles that played on the record. But yeah, I had a good time. I love Giles. He's just fun. His dad being George Martin, he could have grown up to be some spoiled horrible person, and he's just the funniest, kindest, most generous guy ever. So yeah, so it was great working with him.
Did you work at Abbey Road where his dad worked, or did you work
Well,
elsewhere?
no, we recorded in another studio, but they mastered the record at Abbey Road, and I've been over there with Giles a bunch, so that's pretty cool to get to go over there with him because he's kind of in.
Yeah, bit of a he's got a little bit of history there
Yeah.
in his blood, I guess.
Yeah.
You've worked with quite a few great musicians over the years. How do you tend to pick the people that you work with? I mean, Sam's a fantastic guitar player, from what I could tell, from just a couple songs I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just lucky. I really have been able to work with really great people. Another one of my, great guitar friends is Kenny Vaughn, who's crazy good guitar player. He toured with me on the tour for the first record in Bittersweet. He played on Bittersweet too. He's playing with Marty Stewart now
Okay.
and the Fabulous Superlatives. And if you ever get a chance to see those guys, man, that is a crazy good show.
I've heard.
So yeah, I've been really lucky. Will Kimbrough, I've toured a bunch with Will, and yeah, I've had some really good bands. Also, the thing too is like, when I was making records in for a major label, like the first 3 records, 4 records actually, then the record label was picking up the tab, and they had a ton of money.
Yeah.
So, they were sending us out on a bus with a full super giant band and, everything. So that made a difference.
I bet it does.
Yeah.
Easier to pick the band. Well, I can afford so and so. I may as well get them. I recently saw a video of a fan of yours bringing you on stage and singing a song with you. I happen to be a pretty big fan of Brandy Carlisle. I didn't realize she
Oh,
was such a big fan of yours. Have you gotten into her world a little bit and kind of watched what she's doing and followed along with her career?
or yeah, she's great. She's so generous. She really is a uplifter. She's just out there helping, bringing everybody else along. Yeah, she's really cool. She was telling me, she really knows all the songs. We were at some gathering. There's a festival called the 30A Songwriter Festival in down in Florida, and that's where I sang with her up on stage. Oh, that was
That's
funny
yeah.
because I was down there and I just went to see her. She was playing. I thought, oh, I'm just gonna go. I just went by myself, and I said I'm gonna run down to the big stage and see Brandy Carlisle. And so I was standing in they had a little pen. It looked like for if you were part of the festival where you could stand in the pen and be
Yeah.
closer to the stage. And I was standing there watching her. And all after her song was over, then she says, "Oh my God, there's that Kim Richey out there." And I was like, "Oh." And then everybody turns around and looks at you, and she goes, "I'm gonna put you on the spot. Will you come up and sing?" And it's like, "Okay." So I had to walk through the crowd, and it was funny. It was like I was a boxer or something. Everybody in the crowd's going, "Eh," wanting to high five you as you go by and everything. But it was really that was something. And I played another show with her where she hollered to call up. So hopefully I would love to get to do something with her sometime, record something with her because she's such a beautiful singer.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
I was actually just going to ask you if you thought about writing a song with her since she's such a fan of your songwriting. I'm sure she'd be thrilled to do it.
Well, hopefully we'll get to do that at some point. She's just like crazy busy right now. And then, with that thing that
Yeah.
happened, you're kind of, you're kind of in your own area.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of her shows from her compound during the
Uh-huh,
pandemic,
uh-huh.
so watching the
Yeah.
twins and her perform.
Those guys are so sweet too. The
They
twins
are.
are great. Aside from just being crazy good, they're really, really nice people as well.
I've had the chance to interview her, and they've been always very kind. And they remember me because we have the same haircut, I think. Maybe that's why they remember me. I'm not quite sure. Who've been your favorites to work with over the years as far as songwriting and performing?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Like I've written with a lot of different people. I don't know that you would know any of those folks. They're just mostly Nashville people and friends and stuff. But that's touring. I was saying to Sam, I've toured with a lot of really, mostly everybody's pretty nice.
Hmm.
But the Hall of Famers are the Indigo Girls. They are just so flippin' nice,
Yeah.
and they just do really good work too. They don't just pay lip service to causes and stuff like that. They really are doing a lot of good things. And I remember when we toured with them the first time, I was in a trio and we were opening up shows for them. And we were in our dressing room and just trying to stay out of the way. Like that's your opening act kind of job is to not take up a lot of space. And so we were in the room, and they came to find us to say hello and
Oh,
welcome us to the tour. And then they one or the other will sit at the side of stage and watch a show every night. And they'll invite you up on stage to play with them and everything. And I got to sing with them, which was really super fantastic. And they were just the best ever.
we were talking about the gateway drug to discovering an artist. They were kind of my gateway drug to modern folk. When I discovered
Yeah.
their music, it was like, it reminded me of growing up and listening to Simon and Garfunkel on 8-track in my mom's car. And that
Yeah.
harmony was there. I'm like, there's something about this. And then I started to gravitate towards acoustic music because of them.
That was such a huge, like, do you remember the first time you heard that song Closer to Fine? It was
Hmm.
like, whoa, what is this? It's not like anything else, but I know it. It's my music.
Right.
It's like, this is really great. There are a few songs like over your life that, kind of just really have such a huge effect like that.
Land of Canaan actually might have been a bigger one for me from, I guess, from both of their first albums. It's
Uh
just
huh.
the harmonies. There's something about that song was like, whoa.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Uh
it
huh.
hit me very, very distinctly. And again, it's kind of shaped my music taste, which was sort of at that point, sort of new wavy, Depeche Mode, Howard
Uh
Jones
huh.
kind of stuff, and I'm like, ooh, what's this?
Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Drifting back to what I heard when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's good stuff there. Would you like to do another song before we continue?
Sure. Wanna do The Way It Never Was? We'll do something from Glimmer.
Great.
Oh no, here we go again. You wanna take me back to way back when? Well, I gotta tell ya, I gotta say, I got over yesterday. A long, long time ago, I cut it loose. Maybe you should too, you remember the way it never was. You've forgotten the things we didn't say. If you miss me, the reason is because you remember the way. You remember the way it never was. Oh yeah, you were always right. We didn't argue, we didn't fight. It was hearts and flowers, true romance. Why not give it one more chance? Well, I've already been. Why would I want to go through that again? You remember the way it never was. You've forgotten the things we didn't say. If you miss me, the reason is because you remember the way. You remember the way it never was. Oh, na 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 na. It was a long, long time ago. I cut it loose. Maybe you should too, You remember the way it never was. Yeah, you've forgotten the things we didn't say. If you miss me, the reason is because you remember the way. Yeah, you remember the way it never was. Are you forgotten the things we didn't say? If you miss me, the reason is because you remember the way. You remember the way it never was. Oh, na 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 na.
A song found on your third and technically most recent album.
Yeah.
Most recent release from Glimmer. Kim Richey's the guest today on Acoustic Alternatives, and I'm very grateful to have her here today. Quite honored with your company, and
Thanks for having us.
Sam's as well. So co-writing is something you've done. How do you approach co-writing, even though maybe it's easier just to write on your own? I don't know. Maybe it's easier to write with a friend.
It's easier for me writing with other people just because I mean, that's why I started doing music in the first place, was to connect with other people and to play music with other people and not to sit in my room and on my own and, play. That's probably why I'm not a great guitar player, because I didn't spend the time sitting in my room alone playing guitar. But yeah, I really love writing with other people because it's makes me think of things I wouldn't have thought of on my own, and also some of my very closest friends I've met because of songwriting, and the way you can just imagine, like, you sit in a room with somebody that you've only just met, maybe for the first time that you get together, right? And immediately, like right off the bat, you're talking about really personal things, in the guise of it's just a song, kind of sort of thing, but you get to get right into talking. And when have you ever met somebody for the first time and then you sit in a room and just talk and play music for, like, 4, 5, 3, 4, whatever hours? So I really like that. Yeah, it's just it's a great creative thing for me too. Left to my own devices, I'm a pretty lazy person. I'll
Hmm.
think of all kinds of other things to do, but I get ideas for songs on my own a lot, and that'll be, I'll just all of a sudden I'll think, oh, I'm gonna play my guitar for a couple minutes, and I'll just sit down, and maybe something will come when I'm not sitting down going, I'm gonna try to write a song, and then it seems harder. Like you put all that pressure on yourself, and it doesn't make it easier; it makes it harder.
Mm.
So I try to come up with ideas, and I don't be too hard on myself when I can't, when I don't have anything. I just say, okay, I'll go do something else.
Are you generally writing about your own personal experiences, or are you writing just like, oh, I heard a news story the other day and that made me think of this?
Both, all
Both.
kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff is really personal, and and other things are ideas from movies or books, or like overhearing somebody in a coffee shop, and it's just all kinds of things. Or a lot of times, I think it was Harlan Howard said that the best one of the best tools for songwriting is if your songwriting partner is just broken up with somebody. So it's from other people's experiences you can get songs too.
Yes, one of the biggest albums of the last decade was Adele's breakup album, right?
Yeah.
20, it's all breakup songs. So people relate to that, I guess. It's one of the more relatable experiences. As far as the people you've worked with and haven't worked with, do you have a wish list in your head of people you'd like to work with, songwriting wise?
Oh, songwriting wise, I would like to write with Brandy. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I think we'd get some good stuff. And also the twins, they are super good songwriters. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Well, they wrote the story, or at least Phil did, right?
Well, yeah, and also they did the Tanya Tucker. They
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
some really great songs on there
Right.
too. So, yeah, those guys, all of those guys would be really fun to write with. As far as writing, that's who I'd like to write with. Yeah. Singing though, I've been asked that before, like who would you like to sing with? And I love David Hidalgo from
Mm.
Los
Those
Lobos. I'm
guys,
gonna
yeah.
go see them in a couple months.
Wow, you get to actually go see music too?
Yeah, yeah. Go into the Ryman, and Steve Earle and Los Lobos are playing. So I think that's
Wow.
gonna be a pretty awesome show.
Well, recently you got to work with a band from Michigan, the Accidentals.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that came about.
Well, gosh, it was so roundabout. I did early on, when people were first doing the streaming shows,
Mm.
and they were kind of like little mini disasters, and I had mine was kind of a disaster. I was playing some songs and telling some stories, and all of a sudden I realized like the feed had stopped, and I'm just like I'm the only one there.
You were having
And
fun though.
yeah, yeah. And so then it got back going. I mean, it was horrible. And it was for Club Passim, in
Ah,
a really great folk club in Cambridge. And so the woman that was there, she said, I'll hook you up with Sav. This woman, she knows a lot about streaming and all those things, and she can maybe help you figure some of this stuff out. So that's how I met Sav, and she helped me with streaming and getting a good microphone and all those kind of things. And then I talked to him later, and they said, would you like to write a song together?" And so it was over Zoom, which I really do not do very well trying to write over Zoom, because you can imagine like you can't play together, and it's hard to show somebody something a lot of times. And but we came up with a song that ended up on their um, EP,
mhm.
and Time Out, I think it's called,
Mhm.
on their EP. And so we did that. And then they also invited me up to play for the Folk Festival in Ann Arbor. So I came up and played with them on that, and we streamed from the Ark. So that was pretty awesome. I'm going to do some more shows with them. We're working on some stuff coming up. We've got a Bluebird show in the future together, and then we're
Great,
going to do a bit of a tour together too, I think.
great.
Yeah,
Well,
they're so ridiculously talented,
they
and they
are,
work, 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 work.
and nice people as well.
Yeah, they sure are.
Sweet. You were actually the first show back at the Arc
Hmm.
after it opened, and I have to ask how that was because there must have been some crazy emotion in that room.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was really, a couple people came up and said, certain songs that they cried during those songs. And Mary was so kind to us when she introduced us and everything. And it's just really it's really great to be back to these places. Especially there are certain, clubs that I have a connection with because I've played there a lot, and I recognize people that come to see me and all of that stuff. So that have been coming for years. So it's really something to be back out and playing for people again.
Yeah, post COVID, what were your first gigs back? What were they like? I think we were thinking, do I know how to do this anymore?
Totally. That was the major thing. Is like, and it's funny because I played at a art center in Greenville, South Carolina. That was my last show before the COVID thing hit.
Mhm.
My first show back was Greenville, South Carolina, the art center. So I was back there again, but it's still a little nerve wracking. I'm not to the point where I think, okay, well, here we're gonna do, I know what's going on in this show and everything. It's still kind of like, oh, I'm not packing well. I forget stuff every time so far that I've gone. And yeah, I think that's true with the venues and everybody else as well. Like the when we played an outdoor show, and I was talking to the couple that run the show, and they were saying, yeah, we got here, and where did we put the tent? Does it go over here? Where do we used to plug stuff in? And everybody's kind of like just trying to,
Just
get back up to speed.
disoriented, I think.
Yeah,
Is the
yeah, yeah,
feeling. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
What do you listen to when you're driving on these road trips? Is it old stuff, new stuff? You discovering new songwriters in any way, shape, or form?
We haven't listened to music at all this trip. We've been talking. We're
Oh,
just chatting away. We were pretty good chatters. We've entertained ourselves pretty good. Sometimes we'll listen to some podcasts and stuff like that, or sometimes music. I mean, the last time, back before, a long time ago when we were out, I was getting ready to produce a record, and we were listening to different music. Remember, and you were telling me some production tricks that I put into use. So, what do you think, Sam? What do we do while we're out there?
We tell jokes. We're funny people.
I don't doubt that.
Kim, did you hear the one about?
Are there any artists I should be looking out for that you've discovered in the up and comer singer songwriter scene?
Oh gosh, you know what? And you asked me that, and I can see their faces. I can't think of anybody's dang
That's
name
okay.
anymore. I think I've lost that part of my brain. Whatever, if there's like a name area, it's
Yeah.
gone. But there's definitely, oh gosh, there's some really good. I can't think of their names.
You've got my phone number. Just
Okay.
text me. Hey,
There's
have you
some
heard?
really great songwriters coming out of Nashville. I mean, we talked about Liz Longley,
Oh
and
yeah.
and she's pretty well known at this point, but there are a lot of new people that uh, I reckon shall remain nameless because I can't think of their darn name.
Are you working on a new record yourself?
Well, not yet. Getting ready to, just kind of the getting started. Deciding who I'm gonna make the record with, and trying to get songs together, and that kind of sort of thing.
Well, I look forward to hearing whatever it might be.
Oh, thanks.
Would you like to do one more song before I let you get on the road?
Sure. What shall we do, Sam? Okay. What about I'll do Place Called Home.
Okay.
Kim Richey's our guest today on Acoustic Alternatives.
This was on a record, Rise, and I made it with Bill Bottrell, who I love him to bits too. That was such a fun record to make. We recorded. He has a studio in an old big barn up in Mendocino. It was like, and it was just like playing. We would come in every day, and he'd say, "Well, what are we gonna do today?" And I had some songs already written, but we wrote a lot of What's on Rise. I got to write with a band, and that was pretty amazing. But this is a song I wrote with Mike Henderson that I brought to the record. If you can say that you don't, that's the wrong song. I'm singing the lyrics. I was like, melody doesn't go with those chords. But Max, we can do something about that, can't we? Okay, right on.
Give him a.
And also, since I'm talking to you right this second, it sounds amazing. It's so nice to sing to. So thanks. All right, let's see. Let me try to sing the right song. I got it now.
Give him a clean start so that he can edit it in.
Clean start. You ready? Well, it's not hard to see. Anyone who looks at me knows I am just a rolling stone. I never landed any place to call my own. To call my own. Well, it like so long ago, but it really ain't. You know, I started off a crazy kid. Miracle I made it through the things I did. The things I did. Well, someday I'll go where there ain't no rain or snow. Till then I travel alone, and I make my bed where the stars above my head, and I dream of a place called home. I had a chance to settle down, get a job and live in town, and work in some old factory. I never liked the foreman standing over me, over me. Oh no, I'd rather walk a windy road, rather know the things I know and see the world with my own eyes. No regrets, no looking back, and no goodbyes. No goodbyes. And someday I'll go where there ain't no rain or snow. Till then I travel alone, and I make my bed where the stars above my head, and I dream of a place called home. Na 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 na, na na na, na na. Na 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 na, na na na, na na, na na na, na. Yes, someday I'll go where there ain't no rain or snow. Till then I travel alone, and I make my bed where the stars above my head, and I dream of a place called home. Someday I'll go where there ain't no rain or snow, and I'll dream of a place called home.
Beautiful. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
And thank you so much for being part of the podcast too.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
How
Thanks, Max.
How can people support you the best way? I know that musicians, let's not take them for granted. They were struggling probably the most during the pandemic because they couldn't go do their job. There was no place to go do their job. So if someone wanted to buy your music, what's the best place to buy your music that you get the most from?
Well, you can buy it from me if you contact me, if you're any kind of social media. Like I've sent out all the albums, that I
Right.
have the vinyl and stuff. And you can also get them from Yep Rock, which is the label that I'm on, and come to shows. And also you can buy. I know all the touring musicians. We all carry around CDs and albums and everything like that, so you can buy from us at shows. But coming to shows, that would be the best thing, because it's great to see everybody out there, and to
Sure.
show up when there's a bunch of people out there that are interested in hearing you sing and play.
And if they're not coming to your town, if you're not coming to their town, is like Bandcamp the best place? I doubt iTunes would be your best.
Well, I'm not on Bandcamp. It's
Okay.
either buy from Yuprock, the website. They have a
Okay.
website and store there. Yeah.
You get the best slice from that. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Just trying to make sure we
Yeah. Thanks.
KimRichey.com, right? Simple as
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
Simple as that. Well, DCPalmer.com, I want to thank David Palmer again for being a sponsor of the podcast. He is the reason I'm able to do this for a few more weeks until I find another sponsor. A great human being I've known for years, a realtor, an associate broker realtor, serving the clients of the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. Please do check him out. He's associated with Realty Experts LLC, 1420 Washington, number 301, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. That phone number is 313-759-9558. And again, DCPalmer.com, easiest way to find it. Kim, pleasure to see you. Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Another Acoustic Alternatives is on deck. We'll have another one for you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for being here.